All right, Rick, if you could give us your full name, where you were born, and what you did as a youngster.
Okay, Richard David Barton. I was born in Santa Ana, California. And what I did as a youngster, normal kid, digging holes in the ground and tunnels and playing Army with BB guns, and also I was just really into sports. I played a lot of baseball, football, and so yeah, pretty much sports was my outlet.
Any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I had my sister Lori, who died. She passed away at 31. Cindy and Lisa, and a half sister Pauline, and a half brother Billy. So, yeah.
So when you were playing as a kid, you get to play with them most of the time?
Well, of course, I was the older brother, the oldest. Yes.
Great. What kind of games did you play as a child?
You mean like board games?
Any type of things. You talked a little bit about the different things that you like to do sports-wise, but
we, hide and seek, and I used to swim a lot. Living in Southern California, used to go to the beach a lot, and I was in the waves a lot, and was a bodyboarder and all that.
How was that? Fun?
Awesome. I loved it. Yeah.
How did you happen to get into it? Did you have a friend that was doing it, or?
Actually, it was kind of a group of us, my friends, and so yeah, I'm pretty good in the water. A lot of good skills in the water. I used to be a good swimmer. I don't know about now, but it was good.
You were talking about that you played Army when you were a youngster. Is that kind of where things got started for you, thinking about being in the service?
Well, I remember my Uncle Sonny, who was a Marine aviator. He flew combat missions in Vietnam. He was a Marine aviator. And I remember when he'd come in his uniform, I used to go, wow, I'd see him in his dress blues and all that. And then I used to watch the Vietnam War on television with my grandma, and I'd see, they'd talk about the Marines, on the different operations that they did, and, this and that. And I always just thought, I always thought they were the best. So that was kind of my thinking.
So you were in the Marines, and what years were you in?
1975 to 78, and then I went to a Marine Reserve unit called Stay Company. It was a scout company, and then I was there with them for 4 years. And through that, they sent me to a bunch of schools, and so that combined with my active duty, tallied up my 10 years of service.
When you look at your time getting into the service, you obviously had to sign your papers. What was the feeling like when you said, okay, Uncle Sam, you've got me now?
Scary. A long-haired kid running the street, sleeping in until noon, giving my mom problems. And, I'm realizing that, this is serious. This is not playing, so, yeah.
What was basic training like for you?
Hell. 13 weeks of hell. In 1975, it was really hard. Everything from, I got beat up a few times by the drill instructors, and I was a squad leader, so I had Marines under my charge, so every time they screwed up, I paid for it. So yeah, it was tough. It was the toughest thing I've ever done.
Any of the instructors you had during that time stand out?
Oh yes. Drill instructor Sergeant Gilmore.
Can you tell us about him?
He was, when you'd look at him, from top to bottom, he was totally squared away, but boy was he mean. And he just had this little mustache, and his voice, when he would call us into the classroom or march us to the pit, and he always used to say, "Begin, pigs," or "You begin, girls," or ladies, and we would be in the pit or doing bends and thrusts for hours. It was just like you just asked God to kill you because this guy was going to kill us. But I respect him because it had to be that way. And my senior DI, Rios, he was a tough son of a gun from Texas, and I remember one time he got me and the 4 squad leaders. We were at the rifle range, and he was sitting in a chair, and he had us start bends and thrusts, and he fell asleep in the chair, and we were wondering if he was going to wake up or if he was faking it. But we were just going and going and going. Yeah, I can laugh about it now, but yeah.
What was your highest rank that you reached?
A sergeant, E5. I was an acting staff sergeant a couple of times where I filled in for the staff sergeant. And I was right at the edge of getting my E6, my staff sergeant. And then because I got hurt, I had to get out, so.
How hard was it from when you first came in to getting to an E5 position? Did you have to work really, really hard to get that?
Oh, of course. Actually, when you work your way up to corporal, once you become an NCO, corporals do everything. They just call us cleaning party leaders. But once you become sergeant, you got all of them working for you, and it's it's a little bit of step out of the grease, but you're still held highly responsible from your lieutenant and your captain. And your gunny, so you answer to them. But yeah, you got to pay your dues. They just don't give you rank. So they used to have what they call proficiency in conduct marks. And so your pro and con marks have to be high. You had to have MCI courses that you took out. And so when you was set before that board, they'd look at all that, see if you took initiative, you led by example, and they looked at a lot of different things because they can only promote so many sergeants, so many staff sergeants, gunnies on up the line per promotion time. So that's kind of how that works. But yeah.
Tell us about some of the places you were stationed at.
Well, originally I was right out of boot camp. I was getting ready to go to Okinawa. Well, I got my orders cut, and I had to report back to MCRD San Diego because one of my drill instructors was up on charges for taking money from us recruits, telling us he was going to buy our shooting badges when he was using it to go out in town with the hookers. So some private, I can't remember his name, he got out and he went home, and he was kind of bothered by that a little bit. So he told his recruiter, and his recruiter freaked out. So he called headquarters at MCRD, and so the next thing you know, they had a big investigation. So they subpoenaed me and all the other squad leaders and anybody that, and here I'm a young PFC right out of boot camp, and I was scared to death thinking, oh my God, and I was like, I just kind of sucked it up. I thought it was kind of cheesy that the guy would say something, it was just part of the deal, but they've got to hold a high standard. And so my orders got canked, and so I ended up at Camp Pendleton. I went to the 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines. I was with 5th Marines Regiment for 3 years up on Margarita. Yeah. Then I trained also at Camp Lejeune, K-Bay in Hawaii, Coronado, San Diego, down at the SEAL base. We did cross training with the SEALs. Bridgeport, Mountain Warfare School, I went through that. Cold weather and training, Mountain Warfare School, so I did that. And 29 Palms, desert training, did that.
Now, you took a 12-year break and then got back into the service. What brought you back in?
I missed the esprit de corps. I missed the structure, the stability, and I just wanted to get into the stuff. I wanted to get before I got too old, and so yeah, climb back in, at the time I was married, my wife said, "Man, you're gungy, you're gung-ho," and I said, "Yeah, I am." So, I kind of had a reputation of being pretty hard at that time, but it was something I just made a decision to do, and I'm glad that I did it, and then right after that, 911 hit, and then I was on active duty again for the next 3 years.
Did you have to go to Iraq or Afghanistan?
Our unit was in Dubai,
Okay.
Yemen, Korea, and I was up in the Puget Sound. It was a PSU unit called a Port Security Unit. It was a Coast Guard Reserve unit, but we were kind of under their umbrella. But they recruited us from the Marines, from the Army Rangers, people that had prior operational experience. So 911 hit. I was on duty in 6 hours, and I was gone. And we were an anti-terrorist unit, and we had hard targets to go after. We had to protect nuclear subs, naval ships going to the Gulf, Persian Gulf, and so we had some classified missions. We had an incident that had happened that prevented actually a terrorist attack in the Puget Sound, and it was kind of hush hush, but. So yeah, they put a lot of money into us, and we took our job very seriously, and long patrols, long hours, a lot of sleep deprivation.
You had the opportunity to box while you were in the service. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, when I was at 5th Marines, when I was just a young kid, young Marine, actually I took. We were out at 29 Palms, and there was this Samoan Marine named Tino Samoa. He didn't like me very much, and he was using God's name in vain a lot. So I said something to him, and so he kind of called me out. And then next thing you know, he sucker punched me, and I'm on the ground, and I'm trying to get up, and he just kept hitting me. I just took a beating. It was the worst beating I ever took in my life. But actually, now I can say it was probably a good thing for me, because when I got back to the 5th Marines, my lieutenant came up and said, I think it was a Lance Corporal at the time. He was 19 years old, He says, "Pack your trash." And I said, "Sir," he says, "I got orders for you to go to Special Services." I said, "Sir," he goes, "you're going to learn how to fight." So they sent me up to Sergeant Gonringer, and he was on the Marine Corps boxing team, and I trained with him for a year. And, that's all I did. I trained. I did a lot of weight training, a lot of combative stuff, and after about 6-7 months, they had smokers, what they call boxing smokers. So I got to fight 2 fights. I beat the first guy, and this one Marine named Ronnie Wilson from Louisiana, I was beating him the first 2 rounds, and my lieutenant's name was Lieutenant Robert E. Lee. And I remember I had the guy against the ropes, and I'm hitting him with everything I could, and I was just trying to knock him out. And I remember my lieutenant going, you got him, And then the bell rang. So we went back to our corners. Round 3, I came out, and his corner must have saw something, but he came right down the middle. I didn't even see that punch coming. And I was on the canvas, and I remember the referee putting smelling sauce under my nose, going, "You okay, son?" I said, "Yes, sir." So I got up. So anyways, this guy went on to fight my instructor, and he beat my instructor.
Wow.
So yeah, he was a lanky white kid from Louisiana. He was tough as nails, but that was my boxing experience.
Great. Rick, I want to thank you for your service, and I want to thank you for taking the time to do this interview.
My pleasure.